Are you ready to unlock the secrets of brand innovation? Here you'll discover unexpected ways to make your brand soar in value. Get ready for inspiring stories, actionable tips, and insights you'll need to build your brand and learn an entirely new way to fly. This is the Hummingbird Effect. And now your host, Wendy Coulter.
Hi, I'm Wendy Coulter, and I help CEOs and marketing leaders unlock the power of their brands. I've been an agency owner for over 30 years, and I'm excited to have recently launched this podcast thanks to my marketing strategist, Hannah, who's with us today. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Wendy.
How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about this episode.
Me too. I'm very excited to talk to Courtney and learn more from her.
So today we're going to take a deep dive into the Hummingbird Effect with Courtney Collins with Bobbit. And we're excited to have you here with us today, Courtney.
I'm so excited. Of course, you and I have met a bunch of times by now, but it was the first time meeting you.
This is our first time.
We got to chat about how uncomfortable we look on camera, so it's all good.
I know it's interesting because most people will be listening to this, but we do have the episodes on YouTube, and so we're on video always, and it's interesting. So,
it is.
Always fun. So, Courtney, tell us a couple of fun facts about yourself.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if they're fun, but I am a mom of two boys, 2 and 6, Ace and Ryan. So I'm a football mom / basketball mom, and I love to play tennis. I don't know any other fun facts about myself, but those are the most fun things in my life right now, just keeping up with those two.
So how do you keep up with tennis as the weather gets colder?
I don't. I just go to Pilates, and that's my workout, and that's it. But no, tennis is definitely a summer thing, but it's all good.
I love Pilates. I did Pilates for a while.
Oh my gosh, it's my whole identity now.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I need to get back to it myself. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing next. I've lost a little weight, so it's time now to like tone up. And
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, I figure the holidays don't count.
They don't count.
So,
Those calendars, you don't even, yeah, for sure.
So, Courtney, you and I connected through a friend of mine who's been in the construction industry forever, right? And it was great for him to introduce us. I absolutely have loved getting to know you and all of what you're doing at Bobbit. But just give us a little bit of information about your background and how you landed where you're at today.
Sure. It's a very boring story because I've stuck with this industry my whole career, but I started at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro undergrad as a mass communications major with a concentration in PR. And I got out of school and there weren't a bunch of PR jobs. So I kind of ventured into marketing, which was in the same area I felt. And I loved it. And so I worked as an events coordinator. I worked as a marketing associate all the way up the ranks till just here recently. Duke Energy was my job. I was a marketing manager at Duke Energy before I came to Bobbit Construction. And it's funny because if you would have asked me 2 years ago if I would have ever worked in the construction industry, I would have been like, heck no. I've worked in leadership development. I've worked in manufacturing. I've even worked for a utility, but construction has never been on my radar. But I'm here now, and I really like it. I really like working in construction. It's very different. It's like nothing I've ever done before in the sense of a lot of the things we do in marketing for a construction company is just a little unorthodox, but I'm having the most fun. So
That's great. That's great. Well, I think the infrastructure from the energy company ties to the construction as well. And so that's neat to see that path and kind of how you've come forward.
It's always amazing to me when I look back at how all my dots connected, right? Because you start off, one way and then you jump to something new and you think, oh, this has nothing to do with what I did before. But then you find those little red threads every now and then like, oh, this was actually preparing me for this.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Well, and you and I also connected. I was talking to you one day on the phone and just kind of went down the path of the North Carolina Women Business Owners Hall of Fame. And we both showed up in our gorgeous dresses, dressed to impress, to the gala this year. And I'm super excited to have you potentially join my communications committee.
Oh, yes.
For that event.
Shameless plug. That event, it was life-changing in a lot of ways. And we'll see those things coming into fruition, hopefully for me later on down the line. But I will say it was one of the most impactful events that I've ever been to. And, just planting the seed at the event, and then, planting a seed at the event and also watering that same seed at the event, like all the things happened there. I made a lot of connections, and just seeing women just live out their stories and tell their stories, and live out their dreams and it be rewarded for it was just so inspiring, to say the least. But it just lit something up in me that I kind of expected. Like, you go to things thinking, okay, this is going to be inspiring, but I could have never imagined that it would light the fire in me that it is. So, shameless plug.
I love that. I love to light fires. So I'm so glad that you had that experience. Thanks, Hannah.
She doesn't like to light a lot of things on fire within people. Fires
I
within
like
people.
to light fire. I love to light fires within people.
There we go.
Yeah. Wendy the Pyro. Yeah.
Okay, this is all going wrong today. This is too funny. Okay, so you're at Bobbitt today, and your title is
Marketing Director.
Director
Yes.
of Marketing.
Yes.
Big title, big job, big company. I've been to the new digs, and it's a gorgeous facility.
Yes. Love it.
So
Love our new office. Yes.
I know you're loving the new office. So talk to me a little bit about your day-to-day. Like, what are you responsible for? You said it's kind of interesting and unconventional to be a marketing director in the construction industry. What does that mean? What's your day-to-day like?
Yeah. So I think because, well, first of all, shout out to my team. I have an amazing team, Ashley, Amber, and Taylor. But we just juggle all the things, right? Like, last week, the biggest thing in our world was we ordered jackets. And so we turned into like a JCPenney for a few days because people are coming in trying on the samples and like, what do you think about this one? Is it hitting me right? And we're fashion consultants. And then sometimes we're event planners, and sometimes we are fire put outers. Sometimes we are front desk clerks sometimes, and not in a negative way, but it's just, we wear a lot of hats, and we feel in the need for a lot of different things. So our team is responsible for all things website, all things promotion, advertising, events, external and internal. All of our sponsorships are usually driven by marketing. All of the awards that we submit for, so all of our projects that maybe go up for award, we submit the nomination. So many more RFPs, proposals, RFQs. Lunch and learns, all the things. Like, we just cover so much. So no day is the same. And so when you say, what's my day-to-day like, it's a different day every day, which I love.
Well, I know from talking to you, though, that you're also very strategic. And so we don't want to forget that. As Director of Marketing, you've shared some strategies with me. And so I know we all get caught up in those tactical things. But talk a little bit about strategy and how you've seen that go in the construction industry.
Yeah. No, it's my favorite thing to talk about now, is how I came into this job thinking that I had it all figured out, and I would use my 11 years of experience to kind of show up and shake the table at Bobbitt, and then the table shook me. And so, I say that because, usually website, or every industry I work for, website is your bread and butter for a lot of different reasons, right? And so when I came in, I was like, first thing I'm going to do is change up this website, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this with this website, and we're going to start getting leads from the website. And because that's just what I have historically done, and it is what works, and it's just it's a good starting place, right? And so I came in and thought I would do that. I threw that in my strategy, and then I said, next will be social media, because I knew that our CEO, Brian, was very passionate about social media, but I also wanted to build more awareness around bobbing, and, social media is a great tool for that. And then I just went down the line of all the things that I needed to do first and second and third and fourth. And it was going to go like this, and this was going to bring these kind of results. And then, like I said, the table shook me in the sense that it wasn't a fail, but it just didn't bring about the results that I thought it would. And it wasn't a priority because historically it wasn't a priority. The website wasn't a priority. And then I found out why. I worked the job long enough to say, oh, I get it. This industry is based on results. Relationships. And the relationships is usually what yield the results, not how your website is set up to, receive a lead, right? And so usually that's what we run into. You drive them to the website, they fill out a form, it turns into a lead. And so what happened was I had to shift and say, okay, what is going to get the result that we want? And so I just went to my next strategic priority, which was social media. And so we were posting about maybe once a week. We would post when we had a project to highlight, or we would post when a holiday would come up. We would make a nice graphic for it. But we were just barely keeping the lights on because the team was so busy churning out proposals, right? And so with a construction company, a lot of times your proposals feel like your bread and butter, and it is to some degree, but it's reactionary, right? Like you're reacting to someone's request for a proposal, right? And giving them a proposal versus all of the proactive marketing you can be doing to even get put in that position in the first place, right? And that is your events or your social media, or just like what is hooking you showing up in the space as a subject matter expert is all the proactive things that we were ignoring because we were in this reactive space. And so we were just barely keeping the lights on. And then I made a shift. I started to push the team into roles, strategic roles, so we could be more effective, but also get to some of that proactive stuff that we just weren't able to get to, right? And so by doing that and assigning Amber, who's our social media person, our communication specialist, I gave her the very lofty task of, all right, 3 posts a week at first. And she was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to find content? I was like, we can do it. 3 posts a week. Like, it's every week we'll meet, and we still do this. We still meet every Monday and look at our week and try to plan out content best we can. And so just that shift, right? Just a spike in just how much we posted, of course, drove up our engagement and just, it drove the amount of followers we had. And so we were like, okay, this is good. This is good. This is a thing. But now let's try to get more employee engagement. So we hosted a LinkedIn training in our new office, in our training room. And we served breakfast so we could get everybody in the room, Chick-fil-A breakfast, and they were there. And we showed them all the things that we wanted them to do and why it was important. And the thing I think was most impactful about that training is we got to show them how we stacked up against our competitors, right? And so we're like, we're number 8, right? We're number 8 in all of these areas. Like, how can we move the needle, right? And at that time, we had started to increase the amount we were posting, and we were posting pretty much every day. And so by the time we had the training, we had some impressive numbers to show that, hey, we were number 8, but just by posting more, now we're number 4. And we were not only stacking ourselves up against the local GCs, right, general contractors, we were going after the Clancy and Thays, we were going after Behringer, the Salmons, like all of the big GCs, right? And we were like, and we're number 3 and 4, and we came from number 8. And so it's like, this is where we are. And in some cases, some months we're number 1, and that's just about the volume that we're posting, right? And so it was such a big win for us to show them, like, hey, look at how far we've come just from posting more, but now we need you guys to engage with us. We need you guys to repost. We need you guys to help us get more followers. And so once we shifted the mindset of the employees, all the results that we were wanting from the beginning started to roll in. Is this the part where you asked me about the hummingbird effect, or you want to stop? Let me stop talking and you ask me something else. Because I'm getting right to it. And then,
No, I'm going to, so thanks for the segue.
yeah.
So, we work in marketing and brand is where Hummingbird Creative Group really works the most. And we believe that what truly matters is building that strong brand.
Yeah.
And what we see is that is like the hummingbird effect, where you can make these small shifts in one area and it affects something else in a really big way in the business. And so kind of given what you've shared with us about what you're doing with LinkedIn and the social media, can you talk about a specific instance where a seemingly small change in marketing led to an unexpected outcome in another area?
Absolutely. So back on this social media train, you guys got the backstory. So we took off there, right? And things are going well in social media land. I'm like, okay, how can we really start to use this as a tool for business development and for our project developers, right? And so, marketing can be a lot of hand-holding, especially your sales team. You're like, come on.
Hannah knows nothing about hand-holding.
It's just, it's
absolutely nothing.
It's the nature of the job. Hand-holding, spoon-feeding, all the things. And so I said, okay, when we have an RFP coming up, let's tailor our social media content to that particular proposal. In a sense, so let's say we were going after a fire station. And so that fire station proposal is due on Wednesday. On Monday or Tuesday, we're going to project highlight a fire station that we did that's similar to the one we're going after. And not only are we going to post that, we're going to send an email to all of the people that are listed on the team or listed on the proposal as the team members so they can repost it on our social. Because what we know is you submit a proposal and people see your name and they go to LinkedIn and say, oh, Wendy, let me see what Wendy's done. And just so happen if that fire station is posted on there, it's like, oh, they just did a project just like this, right? And so that was the idea of it. And so that's what we started kind of curating these social posts based on the projects we were going after. And send the email saying, hey, we just posted this, please repost. Just a little nudge, like, come on, repost. And it paid off in a great way because one particular time we did this, we had just posted a Starbucks and that we finished and it was great. And one of the project developers reposted it and his client actually, and this was just happenstance, his client, the guy that had us build the Starbucks reposted it with his comments and said, oh, great job on this. They're great partners. And under that post, which we reposted him, of course, right. That's like right from the cow's mouth. So we reposted that, and it almost felt like spam. Somebody underneath that post said, hey, I'm looking to build a Starbucks.
Wow.
And we were like, yeah, right. That's no way that's real. And it was an actual lead. And so for the first time that I know of, since I've been there, we got a direct lead, which could have hopefully still turns into something, right? But that was the first time we got a direct lead, a cold lead from social media. And it actually came in and we're still working it out now. Like, hopefully we win the job, but it yielded big results. And I was like, you would have thought I had the Olympic torch the way I was running around the office. Like, oh my God, we got a lead from social media. Because just taking a chance, right? It's just something that we just never really put all of our energy into. And just making that small shift, just a bunch of small shifts, right? Training the employees, curating the messages, sending out emails, nudging people to kind of like take us serious and repost and help us with engagement, yielded this multi-million-dollar opportunity.
I just think it's an awesome B2B story, right? So thought leadership in B2B marketing is difficult, right? But you did something like super simple and related it to current project opportunities I think so many of even some of our clients can learn from that. We might have to steal your idea and present that to some of our B2B clients as a way to engage on social, and it gives it structure too. That's a little bit different than just the holiday post and, okay, we're going to spotlight something every couple of weeks, but really doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
And it's all about, and as you know, synergy, right? Like you got to get all the wheels turning. Sometimes we just try to ride the coattails of something that's really working, like the podcast or the website or whatever. But you need the podcast, you need the website, you need the social media post, you need the emails, you need them all to be telling the same story. So whenever it hits the client, that it just reinforces everything that you've already put out there, right? A lot of times in building that synergy, and it's like, okay, that's when you really get to see, results, because it's intentional.
Right. So talk to me about maybe other areas of the business. I mean, sales is always like directly connected to marketing, right? Like so you achieved that like ultimate goal to get a lead in through your social. And I think that is fantastic. But what other areas might you have experienced like some impact on as a result of this concept?
Yeah. So off the social media train for a second, recently we sent out some postcards, which I was like, this is so archaic. This is not going to yield the results. This is super expensive because, direct mail can be really expensive. And it's like, this is just whatever. I'm going to do it. They want this done. And they used to do them in the past, and then they went away from them, and they expressed interest, wanted to bring it back. And I was like, I don't know. I just don't think for this amount of money is going to yield the results we want. And sure enough, we did a fire station postcard, and our business developer, Chris Goins, has just been nonstop telling me, okay, we got another lead. And the interesting thing is they got the postcard in the mail, and they would go to the website and fill out the form. Or they would get the postcard and call Chris up because we put his information on the postcard. And so shout out to him for pushing me on that. Just because, like I said, it's archaic and it's not something that you expect results from. It's just something you kind of just do to see what happens. But in this particular industry, in the fire station community, it performed really well. So I think it's beautiful and very shocking at the same time.
Well, and I think it's like a multimedia approach, right? Where you've got the social media going, you've got the postcards going, and so now it's about thinking about what other things need to happen around a fire station proposal or around another kind of proposal, where you can duplicate it and come back around to it each time and have the same kind of success.
Yep.
How's the team enjoying it? Like, is it having an impact on culture and those kinds of things as well?
I think so. I think so. One of my just things I hang my hat on is just empowering my team, and so I think letting everybody feel empowered and letting them know, like, hey, I believe in you. Take a chance. Like, bring some ideas. Like, I have done this for a very long time, but I don't know everything under the sun. A lot of my team members were doing this in some capacity in the AEC industry long before I got there. And so just trying to capitalize off what they like to do and just empowering them as much as I can to bring in fresh ideas or to just be vocal about what they like and don't like. Tell me why it won't work. Poke holes in my ideas, right? And we kind of approach things as a team in some regards, but they all have their own paths that they're directly in control of, and they're empowered to take risks and to bring new energy and breathe new life into their roles. And so I think that has really helped our team a lot from a morale perspective, just because it's like not everybody just tag teaming on every project that comes to their door or deciding in real time who gets what. It's like they kind of know now, like, this is my area. This is, this request came in. I got this. Or, hey, I want to try my hand at this. Is that okay? Like, yeah, like, let's do it. Let me know if you need me. And I think that has kind of helped build this safe space of psychological safety that I only hoped for when I was coming up or when I worked under people. It's just like, do I feel safe to use my voice? Do I feel safe to pitch an idea? Do I feel safe to critique something, right? So I'm all about psychological safety.
I love that. I love that. And what about like the greater team? Like that those people who've worked on the fire station projects and repost your post, are they getting more and more excited to continue to do that now that they're seeing engagement?
Well, so I'd say yes. It does help that we have a $75 gift card for people each month for the employee that's most engaged with our content. So liking, reposting, that type of thing. So that helps. But so I'd say they're excited about the gift card. But I also think we try to do, post around our culture a lot too. And so I think they just enjoy like, hey, this is a fun place to work, and I'm in this photo or repost or whatever. I do think with the postcard situation, probably a lot of like, I told you, because I was like, yeah. But I have seen us take risk in other areas because I think they believe in our team. So now we're like doing a events newsletter that comes out and just basically tells all of our subscribers when the industry events are and why you should go to them and which event is tailored to which audience and what date it's on, and sends you right to the link to register. So I think people find that really helpful. But I don't think that the confidence was there to pull something off like that before the infrastructure of HubSpot and just the team itself and us having the strategicness and the manpower that we have now. So I definitely am noticing a small shift in our capability, the belief in our capability, but also just people want to try new things.
Yeah, well, and I think if you're putting out a newsletter with all of the activities that are going on in the industry, then that's positioning you as a thought leader too. And so I think just that little thing, you're giving people information that they're seeking, and so they're going to start to, recognize that you're a player there, which is really, really good.
Do you want to stay ahead with insightful tips and industry-leading knowledge to build your business value through better branding? Sign up for the Birds of Wisdom email newsletter from Hummingbird Creative Group. The newsletter is packed with expert advice and the latest trends to help you elevate your brand. Visit hummingbird-creative.com today to subscribe. Don't miss out. Join the community, and let's soar together.
Anna, do you have any thoughts?
I have, from the moment you started talking, I think that you might have been the Hummingbird Effect for Bobbitt. And you came in with all these ideas, but you were humble enough to listen. And from all the stories that you've told, your team's also humble enough to listen to you, and you guys have grown, sounds like a lot, not even from a sales perspective, but from a team perspective and the culture. So that's a really cool thing to see and to hear about. And I've definitely, I always take in the be humble approach to things.
Oh yeah, no, I am so proud of my team. Like I just, every time we go after a task or take on initiatives or complete something, I'm always just like, just beaming with pride, because like they are the executors, they're the doers. Like I take credit for nothing. Like I'm like, what do you got? And they just run with all the things, and they're just powerhouses, all of them. I'm so proud of them. And it's not easy to come under to, have someone new come in, new to the industry, new to the company. And, I really was just determined to like, oh, let's do all these things. And so they, definitely humbled me, but also, like you said, were very humble and was like, all right, I'll take this chance with what she's doing or what she's asking me to do. Not only that, I'll take on what she's asked me to do, but I'll take it further. And that's, there is nothing that I can give them where I feel like they wouldn't knock it out of the park. And that's my only goal. If I can say, the marketing team at Bobbitt, it feels empowered to do any and everything that they want to do, that I'm a happy camper.
Do you have any advice to anyone going into a new position or a new field to get that buy-in? I know you did the training and you brought numbers, but were there other things that you learned along the way that had them accept this change and give you the buy-in and you bought into them as well?
So I will say, it was a challenge, but I will say consistency, and there is somewhat of this proving that you have to do. I hate to say it, right? But that's just the nature of life. People kind of want to see the proof before they jump in the boat with you. And so,
well, no, that's a good thing too, because sometimes you can get kind of upset when people don't believe you, but knowing that you need to go in and find what proof points are important to the people you're speaking with, especially in a construction industry where I'm sure the results are really all that they're looking for. Yeah. So, I mean, just to remember that going in and take it with a grain of salt when someone says, well, prove it, and just find a way to speak their language.
Yeah, like done. Okay, I'll prove it, right? But also, I think one thing that was helpful is I always felt empowered by our CEO, Brian, and my direct supervisor at the time was Denise Sutherland. I always felt empowered by them to try things. And so even when I didn't have the buy-in, they were like, all right, I want you to do this, or I know you can do this, or no, you're going on the right path with this, stay the course with this. And so it was kind of helpful when I did feel like, oh man, it's not going over well. They would say, no, this is where I want you to be. This is what I want you to do. You're doing the right thing. This is why we brought you here. So that was invaluable. But if you don't have that, the proof is always in the pudding, right? Do the work and stay consistent. Believe in yourself and know that if you're doing the right things, the results will come, right? I always love saying, keep shaking the tree, the apples will fall. And that's what social media did for us too, right? It's like, all right, we've been posting pretty consistently for months and months and months. And it took like 9 months for us to get that first lead. But, it came, right? It's just a bunch of shaking the tree, doing the right things and staying consistent. So I don't know how much advice that was as much as it was my particular experience. But yeah, it's challenging, but you can do it. I'll say that much.
Well, so I think you've done some innovative things in the space, right? And we always talk about innovation as part of the Hummingbird Effect, and experimentation being like really important because you just never know what might stick. So we're coming into the end of the year. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I know in our office, we're working on 2025 planning with so many of our clients, and what's the next, big idea going to be that we're going to put forth. Do you have any innovative ideas that you're kind of batting around that you think could be really impactful next year?
Yeah, I'm full of ideas. No, and that's just, I've always been that way. I'm always like working on the next big invention. And my husband is probably like so tired of me here. Like, you know what? I could invent this, da-da-da-da-da. He's like, okay. But no, so it's interesting because we talked about when I first got into Bobbitt, I had the strategy and I presented the strategy to the leadership team and they were like, all right, sounds good, go do it. And so then I came back and presented to them about 3 months ago. And I was like, so about all these things that I said I was going to do, I did a few of them, but here's the other things that we did that were more important. And once I was in the job long enough, I realized, needed to be done. And so it's funny because I still have that presentation and then I'm like, all right, now that I've laid the infrastructure and now that we have the groundwork and I have the buy-in, like now I can get to some of these really cool, interesting things that I wanted to do. One of them being digital brochures. There's a few vendors that I've been looking at. One of them is like, I think Folion. But just the idea of that, like just today, a BD person came and was like, hey, I need 3 brochures for this. And like, we printed them off and gave it to them. But I'm like, man, we give these brochures. We don't know what is resonating with them. We don't know how much time they spend looking at them. We don't know anything. And like, I think it helps as a nice like leave behind for sure. So I wouldn't, totally get rid of your physical brochures. But, if and when we send digital brochures all the time, it's like, wouldn't it be nice to know if they forward this to somebody, how much time they spent on this page, what they clicked on, what they wanted to take a deeper dive into. And so I think moving our brochures into a digital space might allow us to get them out more quickly, because it's just a lot of plug and play, get that tracking that we desperately need, and also really make us stand out in the space, right? A lot of AEC companies just aren't doing a lot of digital stuff. They're just really behind the times when it comes to their marketing. So, what a better way to stand out than to give them something that's interactive and moving and flashy. And so that's the one thing that I'm just can't wait to like unleash on our industry, as well as integrated marketing. That's another one. Like I said, setting the infrastructure with a CRM and doing the work to get the API so all of our systems talk to each other, so that we can send a 1-year anniversary email without even thinking about it to our clients and say, happy 1 year in your new building, right? And we never had to click a button, right? We set it up and it's on a workflow, and it just feels very high touch and personal, but it's really just us, having systems that talk to each other and using that data in a way that is empowers our sales team.
So do you have advice for people? Because you're talking about things that are going to change and move and be different a year from now than they are today, right? And so how do you anticipate, especially with your own team even, advice on how to stay nimble and make sure that you can remain adaptable and not kind of get stuck in the same old that I think is all things construction sometimes, at least when you think about it, right?
Yeah. First of all, keep the fire, right? Like me, I'm just always like, all right, what's new and different? Like whether it's, looking on LinkedIn or coming to events or joining, a committee of like in association. So I'm in SMPS and I'm on the communications committee, and we get to just kind of talk on these calls about like ideas. And so it kind of helps you stay fresh and nimble and get a spark from somebody else. Sometimes I think that community aspect of what we do in marketing is everything, because you've been doing this for a while. And so every time I talk to you, I can learn something. I can talk to you and learn something. I think we should never stop doing that, number one. But also, I definitely say leverage. Don't be afraid of the tools that are emerging. Leverage them, right? So AI, it's like the thing, right? So dive in head first, as much as you can, right? Without getting too lost in it, because it does allow you to stay a little ahead of the game when you take advantage of these new things that are coming out, or at least, know enough about them to be dangerous. And so my team uses AI a lot for a lot of different things. Every platform that you probably use in marketing has an AI component now. And so
that's right.
Mess around with it every now and then just to see, like, we're all smart and we all have ideas in our brain, but let's see what the AI thing says, how it phrases it differently, or how you can integrate it into what you do every day.
Do you have any other thoughts, Hannah?
I think something that you said earlier was really important, and it might not have stood out to everyone as much as it stood out to me, but the brochure. And it's something that works. Obviously, you guys are successful, but you don't just accept that it works. You want to ask more questions. Same thing with the AI systems you were just talking about. This works. You guys are getting results, but there's something in here that can maybe get you further. So do you have any thoughts or advice or just words of wisdom on how to make sure to push yourself to keep asking questions and to not get stagnant?
That's a good question. I think it's really in my DNA. And I think some people, it may not just naturally be there. And so that's why I think joining the associations and getting a part of a community where, while it's not your first nature to ask questions and reinvent the wheel, in fact, some people would prefer that the wheel stay a stone. And but I think the magic, whether you want it to or not, is it rubs off on you when you get around people who are pushing these new ideas. And you'll eventually be like, okay, I think I will try that. That actually did sound pretty good.
Right.
And so, and even myself, I'm guilty of it too. Like, just certain things in my life, I'm not in a space to change right now. But then I'll go into a space where someone is doing something different. And I'm like, all right, there's a case study for why I should maybe try it. So I think either it's in you or it's not. And if you know that it's not in you, or maybe you don't know that it's not in you, but whether it's in you or not, join associations, find community amongst other marketers to stay fresh and stay on top of, just things that you didn't want to try, but now they made it sound good and you will, right? Or you hear whisperings every now and then of things. And you're like, oh, okay, what is that about? And you kind of just to end up learning more about it and say, okay, I think I might try it. So I think, being in communities, just, you can't avoid that rubbing off on you when you get around people that are like-minded, for sure.
So I want to take us back to Brian for a minute. So I remember having a meeting with you where you were sharing with me some of Brian's ideas around core values and around just business strategy in general. Has he surprised you? And is there anything that you foresee happening from a business strategy standpoint where marketing can be a big part of something that maybe you're not sure about yet?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my everyday. No, so I won't say he surprised me, but he is definitely a powerhouse in the sense, like, you're never gonna talk to Brian and not walk away feeling like, man, I gotta do more. Like, he is like a ball of energy and just so inspiring. It's just like you never walk away from a conversation with him without feeling like empowered, but also feeling like I need to do more. And I say that because, I'm constantly getting emails or LinkedIn messages from him about like, hey, did you see this? I like this. We should try to do this. Or this is exactly what I want. I want something like this. Or I just left this group and they're talking about this and this and that. And so a lot of it, I'm like, yeah, we can take on that. I don't know how quickly we can roll it out, but we can do that. That's in our wheelhouse. But every now and then he'll spend something my way that I'm like, so I don't know how that's going to go over, but let me try. And so one of those things is these little short videos of how-to videos. And this is like his new golden thing is like, we got to get these videos. And I'm like, I know, but that takes a lot of, it's not just like, oh, it's a little short video. It's like production, editing, like you got to record, you got to have content. Like, what are these videos going to be about? It's just like, and so I'm still kind of trying to figure out how and where that fits in my team. We can do it, I'm sure, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly how that plays into all of our roles and how to prioritize it. And, how does it make sense to approach it? That's just one of the things that keep me up at night. It's like, all right, I know he really, really wants these videos, but how do I pull it off in a way that makes sense and that makes our team kind of embrace this new responsibility without it being like, ugh, this is a lot of work, because it is. But.
So I think it could fall into your overall strategy around your LinkedIn too, where you're talking about these very specific opportunities that you have. And so how do you create video content in the style of what he's looking for that supports that whole thing? Because, with LinkedIn, video is really a great key to unlocking even more engagement, right? And so I think you're going to figure that out. I think that's going to help that Hummingbird Effect, go even further for you.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that was one of my biggest strategies when I came to Bob. It's like, hey, we need to get, you guys have been in this industry 30 plus years. We have a lot of people who've been here for 30 years. Like, we need to leverage this subject matter expertise. And so I was like, I created this thing. It's on my calendar to this day. Now, we've never done it once, but it's Content Thursday. And Thursday was going to be the day that we have people come in and sit down and record them talking about design build or whatever the heck. And it didn't happen. It didn't go that way. And it's an overwhelming ask because you think about the production and the setup and the quality of the materials that you need. And, have I ever done this before in this capacity? But I think you're right. It's like, it goes back to what I wanted to do. Although he's more speaking about internal videos or internal short how-to videos, but I think it absolutely opens the doorway to what I always wanted, which was video content of us speaking about how we are elite in this space or in many spaces and how we do things differently and why choose us. But setting the stage, I think, internally first and like figuring out the kinks for the internal videos, I think it's a great way to go about this new initiative. Because
just asking one of the guys to tell you about the fire station project, right? Or another project, the school project, or, the municipality project, whatever you might be pitching next. I think it just you can add another component and see how it goes. I think it's really hard to get buy-in sometimes, especially in the B2B space from the team, to do video. They have to be on video. They have to feel comfortable with video. We know just sitting here today that it's not always the most comfortable space to be in. And you'll have a few people who are more comfortable with it than others, right, Hannah?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, we have one person on our team who hides whenever the camera comes out, right? And that's not the right person to put on video either. So I think it can be a great extension of your Hummingbird Effect, and I'm excited to hear about how that might go. Yes. Do you have any last thoughts around Hummingbird Effect and how you've seen that in place at Bobbitt?
No, really last thoughts on how I've seen it play out at Bobbitt, but I will say how I've seen it play out in myself. It's kind of interesting to go, like I said, connecting the dots for me it's been awesome to see that in my life at this point. But more so to see the reward of, my career just from keeping my head down and doing all the things that I knew were the right thing to do. And, making small changes here and there to put myself in a position to be nimble and to move in certain ways. Just seeing it pay off has been very cool. And just almost like, you almost get that imposter syndrome, like, wow, is this me? Like, almost like an out of body experience. But I guess I want to leave a message to any and everybody who may be feeling that, right? To live in the space for a little bit, right? Of uncomfortableness, but continue to challenge and look for that uncomfortableness, right? You're going to get to a place where you're like, okay, I've been doing this for 11 years. I know what I'm talking about. But the magic happens when you move into stuff that you don't know what you're talking about. And so you're making those small incremental changes to yield big results in the end is what's going to really blow your socks off. So
I think Hannah's right. I think you're the Hummingbird Effect for sure. For sure.
That's
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time today and sharing your insights and your stories.
This has been so fun.
Well, good. And thank you to all of the listeners for joining us today. And like Courtney, go out and find your hummingbird effect. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Hummingbird Effect with Wendy Coulter. We hope you found this episode valuable. Please be sure to rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more or to work with Wendy and her team, go to hummingbird-creative.com.